Well, good morning, everybody. First of all, many thanks to the gentleman from Queensland in Australia that got in touch with me. We had a wee chat, and I am firmly of the belief that the case is about to take some major steps forward. We've had enough of the obstruction from Sutkovich, and it's now the case is definitely moving forward. And I saw a tweet last night from Kathleen Zellner to do with the fact that, Making a Murderer is the third most popular documentary that's been streamed. It's ever been streamed. So it's not surprising the amount of interest in this case, this sick, bizarre corruption taking place in Manitowoc and elsewhere in Wisconsin. And also I got a message from Dr. Siltman to say that he's enjoying. He's already got hold of the Blind Injustice by Mark Godsey and is enjoying it. So I would imagine that we've got plenty to talk about over the next few weeks. So last night I did that little video about cognitive dissonance, and the great example being the Seekers in Chicago that were told that the world is going to end and they're going to get a spaceship away to was it the planet Meridian, and of course it never happened. And their explanation of it was, oh well, God on earth had decided to take pity on everybody and had spared everybody, and as proof of his decision and that happening, well, everybody's still here. So obviously it's proof of what they were saying. And this is the kind of thing that guilters do. They are confronted with this cognitive dissonance. The fact that they want to believe desperately one thing, and yet the evidence is pointing somewhere else. So they come up with the most bizarre, ludicrous, ridiculous excuses. And I just wanted to sort of, for the sake of balance, have a look at the truther's point of view, which I would describe as Occam's razor. Most of you, I'm sure, are familiar with the concept of Occam's razor. It simply says that often the most likely solution is the simplest. If you look at a situation and there's a simple solution to it, invariably that is the correct solution. With Occam's razor. As I say, on the other side, we've got the guilters, and particularly the bad actors in all of this. Although, as I said before, in Mark Godsey's book, he makes it very clear that, even the people that we consider to be absolutely vile creatures because of their actions, they aren't inherently evil people. There's still people that go to church and that would help an old lady cross the street, or would do something kind, sweep away the snow from their elderly neighbor's driveway, for example, But when it comes to this, they suffer from this cognitive dissonance whereby they will come up with any excuse to perpetuate these wrongful convictions. So as a first example, the magic key. The magic key, the RAV4 key found in Steve's bedroom, is so blatantly planted. Even Ken Kratz in his closing argument says, so what if the key's planted? And yet you've still got crackerjack detectives likes of Andy Colburn trying to claim that, he had to twist and turn the cabinet in order to make this cleverly hidden, he uses the word cleverly hidden in an email to one of his superiors, a cleverly hidden key to cause it to pop out and to migrate round the corner and end up at the side of the cabinet. I even had Sheriff Robert Herman say to me, as I've said before, he said, well, you maybe won't want to hear this, but you do realise that not every single one of those 7 searches was for hours at length. Well, the fact is, 3 of them were. You know, they were searches for 3 hours. You know, Andy Colburn spent an hour searching that little cabinet. You know, they have great difficulty, of course, trying to explain why it took 7 searches to find the key. Occam's razor tells us it's quite simple, because that was the first opportunity that they had to drop the key, because it was Kucharski who wasn't so worried about keeping an eye on Lenk and Colburn as the guy Bryson was. Bulldog Bryson, I believe his name was. Another interesting thing, isn't it, in trial, when we get that really, it's really crass, when, crass as in, you know, bad, when, I think it's either Dean or Jerry, asks Lenk, Jim Lenk, you know, would it have been fair to Bert and Ernie to have told them about the depositions? And he says, yes. Oh, it would have been fair. And would it have been fair to, you know, the Calumet County Sheriff's Department and all these other people? And then he says, you know, would it have been fairer to Steve had you not been involved? And he said, no, it wouldn't be. So it's, again, it's this blatant denial that, you know, there could be anything wrong with the idea of him being involved in this search when, you know, weeks earlier he was involved in the deposition. Now I'll go through a few more, but obviously I would imagine that a lot of you out there have got your favourites. So let's make this as interactive as possible, and please leave your examples on the comments below of the, you know, the actual fact of the situation and the bizarre, ridiculous excuse that the guilters have come up with. And by guilters, I'm firmly of the belief that a lot of the guilters are the bad actors in this. You know, we've got Ken Kratz with, under various guises, as various people on Twitter and as various people on YouTube. Absolutely no doubt that he has got multiple accounts and multiple personalities, his own, going around making comments. Let's look at the blood in the RAV4, but no fingerprint. And again, we see that clip of Ken Kratz totally embarrassed on TV, being asked about this. You know, well, you found blood, you know, so you found DNA, but, you know, what about the fingerprints? And Kratz says, oh, well, you know, they were looking for DNA, as if, you know, they wouldn't be looking for fingerprints. Exactly. Totally bizarre, you know. How does somebody not leave fingerprints if their hand is bleeding? Now, obviously, another one that's completely ridiculous. It's so obvious the bullet was planted. There's wood in it, but there's no bone, and it was found on a pile of dust. And yet again, you know, we get the guilters, Ken Kratz saying, you know, oh, well, that bullet maybe only went through flesh. Never, ever an explanation as to how it got embedded with wood. They like to select, you know, certain things and try and make excuses. This is one of the bizarre things that, you know, Stacey Seabrook, 80 more things. The 80 more things, you know, that board that was created by Denise, and then, you know, the podcasts, 80 more things. There's far more by now, a lot more by now. But they don't want to answer half of those. You know, they will try and come up with some ludicrous excuse regarding some of them. Anyway, so yes, I've even seen Ken Kratz in a tweet. And under his new guise of being a criminal crime scene investigator expert, say that jackhammering could have caused the bullet to have migrated onto the pile of dust. Another good one. I do like this one. Remember in Brendan's trial when Ray Edelstein says, but there is zero DNA of Brendan or Teresa in that trailer. To which Wiegert replies, again, using his cognitive dissonance, they had 5 days to clean up. As Dean Strang said, Steve has been accused of lots of things, but he has never, ever been accused of being a good housekeeper. No. No way. No way do you clear up that amount of mess that would have been created. There would be bloodstains on the mattress. There would be huge bloodstains on the mattress. Another good one, of course, is the fact that this swab that was allegedly taken of the hood latch, which yielded Stephen's DNA, but nowhere else was tested. Why just test the hood latch? In order to operate the hood latch, you need first to operate the bonnet release. You need to lift the bonnet. You need to get the arm, the stay, if you like, Why were none of those tested? Excuse. Because the crime lab didn't. Just because the crime lab didn't? Another bizarre, totally bizarre. Obviously, we now know that these cremains at the Manitowoc County gravel pit were handed back to the Holbachs. The excuse given by Assistant Attorney, ever since Roll Griffin named her that's who she is. She is Ken Kratz's assistant. Assistant Attorney Judge Angela Superwitch. Her excuse? They were only animal bones. Which is pretty sick, isn't it? It's not just pretty sick. It's totally sick. And another good one, of course, is we actually hear Colburn on the stand engaged in cognitive dissonance. When they play him the clip of the calling in the license plates. And Dean says to him, and you say 99 Toyota. And he says, oh no, I thought she said that. Again, it's that instant denial, because that doesn't fit with his theory, with his story. And as we discovered again with the people who are involved in this cognitive dissonance, they try also to get other people to accept their point of view. One can imagine, Andy Colburn, if that was a conversation with a member of the public who had said, and you said 99 Toyota, and he would say, no, somebody else, that was her said that, with his uniform and gun in his holster. You can well imagine that being the scenario. Which brings me on to probably one of the most bizarre aspects of this case. And you all know one of my favourites, if favourite is the right word, and that is Mike Holbach grieving for days. And we get people guilty saying that was just a slip of the tongue and he's just fearing the worst. What utter nonsense. What utter nonsense. Who, through a slip of their tongue, not only grieves for his sister when she's only a missing person, but only grieves, could be just for a couple of days. The grieving process could last days. And as I said before, family members are the last ones ever to accept that there's anything harm has befallen their loved ones. And another one that always strikes me is Ken Kratz referring to the fact that Teresa Halbach was lured to the salvage yard to make Steve look as if he's some sort of predator along the same lines as Kratz. Anyway, as I say, let's see your favourite Occam's razors and versus cognitive dissonance examples. I'm sure I've left plenty meat on the bone. I'm sure there are dozens and dozens and dozens more examples of where you've come across the most ridiculous, feeble excuse for the obvious fact that Steve and Brendan reframed. Anyway, I'll catch you all again soon. Take care. Bye for now.